All right, so 2.1, variables and data. So over the next few weeks, we will conduct a feasibility study. A feasibility study is an assessment of practicality of a proposed plan or method, typically focused on business ventures. There's a few benefits of doing feasibility studies. You can check out the resource right here at BrightHub. First benefit would be understanding the demand. Understanding the demand. Why someone doesn't just go out there and start a business without doing a feasibility study first. What is the demand for the business idea that you have? Assessing the resources, right? So you need to kind of catalog your current resources that are available, and then what need do you have for additional resources? Marketing feasibility, that's the third benefit. So within the market, is it feasible? Determining whether the market is already oversaturated with stronger competitors. If I wanted to add a coffee shop to downtown Hamilton, will that be successful since there's already a True West on the east side and the west side? Is there still a market for another one? Making a timeline. So this is another benefit. Within the feasibility study, making a timeline, using data generated by the study to help set milestones and deadlines. So the focus of our feasibility study will be Hamilton's revitalization. So there's a lot of careers associated with this course, with statistics. And one career field that might be doing the type of work we're doing in this feasibility study is a market research analyst. Market research analyst. And I want you all to read the bullet points. So we'll start here and we'll go down the line. Zach.
Monitor and forecast marketing and sales trends.
Good.
Measure the effectiveness of marketing programs and strategies.
Good.
Devise methods for collecting data, surveys, questionnaires, and opinion polls.
Good.
Gather data about consumers, Hamilton residents, employees, and visitors, competitors, surrounding cities, and market conditions. Hamilton's current economic situation.
Good.
Analyze data using statistical software, Google Forms, and graphs.
Great. Ben?
Convert complex data and findings into understandable tables, graphs, and written reports.
Nice.
Prepare reports and present results to clients and management.
Thanks. So there's your source for some of those ideas. If a market research analyst is a potential, if you like doing what we're doing through this project, you might look further into that. So, Friday you'll be creating some surveys to hand out, distribute to the rest of our school. And once you gather the data, we will create the tables and charts, or the graphs and charts. Let's go with tables and charts, so that we can clearly present our findings. So in order to appropriately display the data, we must first analyze the data. So there's characteristics that vary in your data from one person or thing to another, called a variable. Means a little bit something different than when we talk about variables in algebra. So examples include your height could be a variable. If I wanted to do a survey and find the heights of all students at SOA, my variable would be the height. Maybe weight would be a variable. Trying to find maybe in a study the weight of different healthy adults. Number of siblings. Would be a variable. Some other variables would be eye color. Maybe your arts major. Maybe your dating status. So these variables on the left here all have something in common. The variables on the right have something in common. Does anybody know? Could you identify a term? Mars?
Qualitative?
The ones on the right are qualitative. Nice job. Is that what you were getting at?
Yeah.
Qualitative. All of these describe characteristics or attributes. What are the ones on the left?
Quantitative?
Good. Quantitative. So each one of these describes a quantity or number. The data that goes with height, a bunch of numbers. So there's actually two types of quantitative variables. We have discrete and continuous. So a discrete variable is a variable whose possible values can be listed even though the list may continue indefinitely, such as a count of something. Like the number of siblings, I can count that. Someone may have a very interesting family with an indefinite number of siblings, but it's a number that I can count. There's no 1.5 siblings or 1 3/4. The number of cars owned, you don't own part of a car, or the number of students in the class. Then a continuous variable is a variable whose possible values form some interval of numbers, such as a measure of something. Right? So if I pull up this meter stick right here, even though there are specific increments only going up to 1/4 inch, there are measures in between 1/4 inch, right? 1/8 of an inch, a fourth, right? Fourth. So we would have in an increment here with infinitely many measures in between. So this is continuous when I'm using a variable that has a measure. Some of you could probably fill this out on your own. It's a flow chart. We're going to fill in the terms discrete, continuous, qualitative, quantitative, and variable. Which one goes on top? Variable. We have two types of variables. Which one goes on the left?
Qualitative.
Good. Qualitative. Obviously, that leaves what on the right?
Quantitative.
Good. And then we have two types of quantitative. What are they?
Discrete, continuous.
Discrete and continuous. So each individual piece of data is called an observation. Whereas the collection of all observations for a particular variable, that's called a data set. So we've talked about a few examples. What I want you to do in 1 through 4 is use the terms qualitative, discrete quantitative, and continuous quantitative to describe each of these different scenarios.